David granted new bail conditions after being charged with multiple offenses, and the St. Kitts Tourism Authority to host annual Tourism Experience Awards ceremony. Regionally, 8 Trinidadian prisoners break out of Golden Grove Prison. Internationally, Alabama passes bill banning abortion. And in sports, NBA Eastern Conference Finals to begin this evening, Toronto Raptors versus Milwaukee Bucks. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse.
Wow.
And now the national news in detail. Mr. Alcibiades David of California was granted bail on May 14th after being charged for possession of controlled drugs, possession with intent to supply, and importation of a controlled drug into the Federation. The offenses were committed on May 7, 2019 at the RLB International Airport on St. Kitts. They were in relation to an investigation launched surrounding materials suspected to be cannabis on a private aircraft. David's previous bail conditions were revoked and he was granted bail under new conditions. The new conditions were a cash bail of $300,000 to be paid forthwith and $600,000 with 2 sureties for his appearance at the Bastille Magistrate Court on Monday, September 23, 2019. Meantime, a group of nationals known as the Concerned Citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis responded in writing to Mr. David's damning and disrespectful attack towards the Prime Minister in a letter circulated on social media, calling for all right-thinking citizens of all political persuasions to roundly condemn what took place on Monday and that the vile threats directed at our Prime Minister must not and should not be tolerated under any circumstance. This is due over the last several hours of legal threats and a profanity-laced rant during a press conference at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort that was at the time being carried live on social media on the afternoon of Monday, May 13, 2019, directed at the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. The St. Kitts Tourism Authority will host its annual Tourism Experience Award ceremony on Saturday, May 18, 2019. The VON Newsline caught up with the Product Development Manager of the St. Kitts Tourism Department, Mrs. Melnesia Marshall. Mrs. Marshall said these awards are all new. She said the idea came about because the ministry wanted to highlight more people and the contribution they have made to the tourism sector. The product development manager also spoke about the theme. Product Development Manager of the St. Kitts Tourism Department, Mrs. Melnesia Marshall. Mrs. Marshall also spoke about the nomination process. The general public is invited to attend the event, which will be held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort and will begin at 6 p.m. Speaking at the 2019 Nurses Symposium Awards and Luncheon Ceremony on Friday, May 10th, Minister of Health, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, encouraged nurses in St. Kitts and Nevis to be more involved in the discussions on universal health care coverage to be implemented in the Federation. The event was one in a week of activities to commemorate International Nurses Day in St. Kitts on May 12, 2019. Minister Hamilton encouraged nurses to get involved in the consultations. Consultations of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for Universal Health Care began on Monday, November 12, 2018. The public is also asked to give their views and concerns on universal health care. Just 16 more days to go before the start of the official 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Nevis Disaster Management Department is making preparations. Director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, Mr. Brian Dyer, has more.
The early prediction that was released in mid-April suggests that we will have 12 to 14 named storms. Of that figure, 5 to 7 could become hurricanes. And of those 5 to 7, 3 to 4 could become major hurricanes. Major hurricanes are hurricanes category 3, 4, and 5. That's winds above 111 miles an hour.
Director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, Mr. Brian Dyer. Here are the expected names for the season: Andrea, Barry, Chantel, Dorian, Erin, Fernan, Gabriel, Herberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor, Olga, Pablo, Rebecca, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy. The 2019 Atlantic hurricane season will begin on June 1st, 2019 and end on November 30th, 2019. The first phase of the Wellington Road housing project in East Bastille is moving speedily, and 12 apartments are scheduled for completion before Independence Day, September 19th this year. This disclosure was made by Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liburd. He noted that the project started a few weeks ago with completion of the demolition process and the first phase of the Wellington Road area. Liburd stated that the plan is then to move on to the West Street side of the project and demolish the 4 homes on that side, which would be completed by early October. According to the minister, the overall cost of the project is US $8 million, and 50% is being funded by the Petro-Carib office in St. Kitts. The Ministry of Education and the Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine upgraded 3 computer labs in 3 schools. This is also part of a project dubbed Primary School Computer Enhancement Project, IT Integration Learning Space. The 3 schools were the Joshua Obadiah Primary, Keon Primary, and the Dean Glassford Primary Schools. The project began in 2016 and sought to refurbish the school's main computer labs by removing all workstations and furniture. Minister of Education, the Honorable Sean Richards, said that the computer labs were the direct result of a 3-pronged approach. Finally, a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly has been scheduled for Tuesday, May 21st. This will be the second sitting for 2019. The first sitting was held on Thursday, February 28th, and at that time, Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, introduced and read a first time the Nevis International Exempt Ordinance 2019. It will be held at the Assembly's chambers at the Hamilton House in Charlestown. The sitting will commence at 10 a.m. The proceedings will be carried live here on Von Radio. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. Out of Trinidad, a major search is underway for 8 prisoners discovered missing at daybreak today from the Golden Grove Prison, Arouca. The prison service is confirming that the 8 remand yard prisoners escaped overnight. A hole was found dug under one of the perimeter fences. In March 2018, convicted prisoner Anil Soku escaped custody from the Golden Grove convict prison. Soku was recaptured within minutes by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service within the environs of the Golden Grove prison facility without resistance. The men were discovered missing during the morning roll call. The names of the missing prisoners are Kerry Valentino, Ati Basili, Joshua Janet, Olantugi Bennett Bow, Kyle Belgrove, Stephen Austin, Brent Johnson, and Mikhail Mohammed. An action plan has been developed by countries and territories of the Caribbean, establishing a roadmap to ensure that health is front and center of the national climate change planning in the region. The Caribbean Action Plan on Health and Climate Change focuses on protecting the health of the Caribbean populations from the effects of climate change, such as heat waves, storms, hurricanes, drought, floods, outbreaks of disease, and other issues by strengthening health systems, promoting intersectoral collaboration between the health and environment sectors, and increasing financing. In order to achieve this, countries and territories of the Caribbean have agreed to take national and regional actions to strengthen educational and research capacities on climate change and health, to build climate-resilient health facilities throughout the region, to improve health surveillance, and to develop weather and climate-related preparedness, response, and recovery plans. The action plan was launched earlier this month by the director of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, Dr. Carissa F. Etienne, during a meeting with the Minister of Health of Grenada, Nicholas Steele, and other high-level officials in Comfort Bay Home for the Elderly, a facility that forms parts of PAHO's SMART initiative, supporting member states to become more climate resilient in St. Lucia. The plan is the regional outcome of the World Health Organization and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change's Special Initiative on Climate Change and Health in Small Island Developing States. Out of Jamaica, Chairman of the Integrity Commission, retired Justice Carl Harrison, says Jamaicans can expect a paradigm shift in how the anti-corruption organization operates. Speaking at a press conference yesterday, he said the new entity will be transforming itself to meet the requirements of the modern legislation by which it is governed. He also said focus will be placed on anti-corruption risk management strategies, increasing the confidence of the general public in the government procurement system through public education, transparency, and confidence in reporting, and increasing effectiveness and operational efficiency through forging strategic partnerships and employing technological solutions. The Integrity Commission is mandated to promote and enhance standards of ethical conduct for parliamentarians, public officials, and other persons by consolidating laws relating to the prevention of corruption and the award, monitoring, and investigating of the government contracts and prescribed licenses, and strengthen the measures for the prevention, detection, investigation, and prosecution of acts of corruption. The entity was developed pursuant to Sections 1 and 5 of the Integrity Commission Act 2017, which allowed the Office of the Contractor General, the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption, and the Integrity Commission, Integrity of Parliament members to be fully incorporated into the Integrity Commission. Finally, out of Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness yesterday announced a number of initiatives aimed at reducing the impact of worsening drought conditions that have been affecting the corporate area and St. Catherine in particular. Among the new measures is the construction of a 15 million gallon per day water treatment plant in the Rio Cobre under a public-private partnership arrangement. He said that the National Water Commission, NWC, and a cabinet-appointed enterprise team, along with a private sector consortium, have been mandated to complete all negotiations within 45 days. At the end, construction is expected to commence later this year for a period of 24 months. The total cost to develop the project and construct the new water treatment plant is estimated at $60 million. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Alabama has become the latest U.S. state to move to restrict abortions by passing a bill to outlaw the procedure in almost all cases. The law includes a ban on abortion in cases of rape or incest. Supporters say they expect the law to be blocked in court, but hope that the appeals process will bring it before the Supreme Court. They want the court, which now has a conservative majority, to overturn the 1973 ruling legalizing abortion. None of the Alabama's 4 female senators back the ban. It will now go to Governor Kay Ivey, who has said she will only decide whether or not to sign it into law once she has considered the final version. The United States has told all non-emergency government staff to leave Iraq as soon as possible. The order issued by the U.S. State Department comes after officials accuse Iran of planning attacks in the region. The BBC's Sebastian Usher reports.
The US State Department has issued an order for what it called all non-emergency staff to leave its embassy in Baghdad and its consulate in Erbil. It has another consulate in Basra in the south. Now that was closed down last year. The US accused Iranian-backed militias of attacking that consulate. So this is again a similar story where the US is essentially saying that these militias, Shia militias, which played a big role in the battle against Islamic State group, which are allied with Iran, are posing an imminent and serious threat.
Legislators in San Francisco have voted to ban the use of facial recognition, and the first U.S. city to do so. The emerging technology will not be allowed to be used by local agencies, such as the city's transport authority or law enforcement. Additionally, any plans to buy any kind of new surveillance technology must now be approved by city administrators. Opponents of the measure said it will put people's safety at risk and hinder efforts to fight crime. Those in favor of the move said the technology as it exists today is unreliable and represents an unnecessary infringement on people's privacy and liberty. In particular, opponents argued the systems are error-prone, particularly when dealing with women or people with darker skin. The vote was passed by San Francisco supervisors 8-1 with 2 absentees. The measure is expected to be officially passed into city law after a second vote next week. The new rules will not apply to security measures at San Francisco's airport or seaport, as they are run by federal, not local agencies. ITV has asked the Jeremy Kyle Show after 14 years following the death of a guest who took part in the program. Steve Diamond was found dead on May 9th, a week after filming the show, during which he took a lie detector test. ITV Chief Executive Caroline McCall said the decision was a result of the gravity of recent events. Following the announcement, a committee of MPs launched an inquiry into whether enough support is offered to guests on TV shows during and after filming. Damian Collins, MP, chair of the Digital Culture, Media and Sport Elect Committee, said the broadcaster had made the right decision. Programs like the Jeremy Kyle Show risk putting people who might be vulnerable onto a public stage at a point in their lives when they are unable to foresee the consequences, he said. The committee will question broadcasting executive and regulators. Love Island, another ITV show, has also come under scrutiny after the deaths of two former contestants. The Jeremy Kyle Show was the most popular program in ITV's daytime schedule, with an average of 1 million viewers and a 22 audience share. Finally, Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for openness between countries and denounced racial supremacy as stupid amid rising trade tensions with the U.S. The remark was made today and was Mr. Xi's first public address since the U.S.-China trade dispute escalated with tariff hikes on both sides. Mr. Xi did not mention the U.S. or the trade war directly, but focused on presenting China as an open country. He said different civilizations were not destined to clash. Mr. Xi added that China would only become more open to the world in the future. Other attendees at the conference were presidents of Greece, Sri Lanka, and Singapore. There have long been trade tensions between the world's two largest economies as both wrangle for global influence. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next. Welcome back, and now the sports in detail. In basketball news, more basketball continues this evening when the Eastern Conference Finals is set to begin this evening at 8:30. This should be a terrific matchup between the two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference all season, with both sides featuring a superstar. In related news, Stephen Curry steered the Golden State Warriors to a 116-94 win over the Portland Trail Blazers in Game 1 of the NBA Western Conference Finals. Curry scored 36 points, including 9 three-pointers, for the defending NBA champions, who are playing their 5th straight Western Conference Final. He also added 7 assists and 6 rebounds as the host dominated. Game 2 in the best-of-7 series will be on Thursday, 16th May, on Golden State's home court. In tennis, 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams plans to compete at the French Open despite withdrawing from the Italian Open with a knee injury. The American 37 was set to play Sister Venus Williams in the second round, but said she would be concentrating on rehab now. Williams has also struggled with injury, pulling out of the Miami Open at the third round stage in March after a viral illness prevented her from competing in Indian Wells. The French Open tournament kicks off on May 26, and Williams is chasing her 4th title. In more tennis news, 20-time Grand Slam champion Roger Federer has criticized Italian Open organizers for doubling ticket prices after it was confirmed he would play. Federer, 37, is playing the clay court season for the first time since 2016. The number 3 seed, who has a first-round bye and will begin his tournament against Portugal's João Sousa, said the decision was disappointing. The Swiss was beaten in the third round by Dominic Thiem on his last appearance in Rome in 2016. His only Roland Garros title came a decade ago when he beat Swede Robin Söderling in straight sets. In golf, Scottish hammer thrower Mark Dry says he is surprised that news of his UK anti-doping suspension was announced by UK Athletics given the investigation is still ongoing. On Tuesday, it emerged he has been charged with attempted tampering with any part of doping control. That rule covers providing fraudulent information, and his case is believed to relate to a whereabouts issue. Dry, 31, will fight the charge and is taking legal advice. Finally, in cricket news, England captain Ian Morgan has been suspended for the next one-day international and fined 40% of his match fee for a slow over rate during the 6-wicket win against Pakistan on Tuesday. It is Morgan's second such offense within 12 months after England were guilty of a slow over rate against the West Indies in February. Morgan will miss Friday's 4th ODI against Pakistan at Trent Bridge. England lead the 5-match series 2-0. They took almost 4 hours to bowl their 50 overs in Bristol. Also disciplined by the ICC was Johnny Bairstow, who was reprimanded for hitting the stumps with his bat when he was dismissed in the 29th over. The wicketkeeper batsman struck a sensational century as England easily chased 359 to win at Bristol's county ground. The rest of the England players have also been fined 20% of their match fees for the slow over rate. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight, fair to partly cloudy. Weather tomorrow, sunny to partly sunny with a 20% or slight chance of a brief shower. Winds east-southeast with average speeds between 6 to 14 knots or 11 to 26 kilometers per hour with lighter spells in some places overnight. Seas 1 to 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. And sunrise tomorrow is at 5:39 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, May 15, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at our headlines once again. Nationally, David granted new bail conditions after being charged with multiple offenses. And the St. Kitts Tourism Authority to host annual Tourism Experience Awards ceremony. Regionally, 8 Trinidadian prisoners break out of Golden Grove Prison. Internationally, Alabama passes bill banning abortion. And in sports, NBA Eastern Conference Finals to begin this evening, Toronto Raptors versus Milwaukee Bucks. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed, wishing you a pleasant evening.